Good morning and welcome to Avero's live stream. I'm AV. I'm the founder and CEO at Avero. Avero is an independent, system agnostic consulting firm that focuses on local governments across the country. And we go live every Wednesday. Please check us out on our YouTube channel, on our social media platforms. Lots of great stuff out there for you. And if you're joining us from around the world today, pop in the chat, tell us where you're coming from, and any questions at any time during the live stream, please feel free to chime in. Really excited for my guest today. You guys have heard me talk about all things AI in the last year or so and how impactful it's going to be for the world. Uh, and we're trying to find stories of how it's being useful in local governments today. So, in this pursuit and in this sort of dipping my toe in the AI field, I met Erica Olsen a few months ago. We spoke at ICMA, uh, not together, we were in different sort of streams, but we were both talking about AI from different angles and I've had the great fortune of getting to know Erica, and I'm thrilled to have her on the show today. Erica, welcome.
Awesome, AV, and to the Air team, thanks so much. I'm excited to be here, excited to talk about AI in action. Absolutely.
Great. So tell us a little bit about you, because you're not a software, you're now an AI nerd, but your background's like mine.
True.
We're just interested in
Yeah, I
organizations and
mean,
local government.
we should be writing Python, but I haven't gotten that far yet, right? So, no, that's right. Yeah, Evie, again, just thanks for having me, and thanks for everybody that's tuning in. And again, like minds find each other in this world. And
Hmm.
I too, last year, maybe last fall, so fall 2023, I realized that AI is absolutely going to transform organizations, and it's either get with it or get left behind. And the
Hmm.
old adage is AI is not coming for your job. Someone who's using AI is coming for your job. So I like
Right.
to I think about that, and really think about a quote that really inspired me to get after it is that AI can help us multiply our missions. And so
Wow,
that
that's
whole
great.
thought has really driven myself and my team. My background is in strategic planning and performance management, OKRs. I've been doing that for more than 15, less than 20 years, uh, with local government, with private industry. And we're all about transforming organizations and increasing impact at a very broad level. So with that in mind, AI fits right in that zone, and that's how I got inspired to dip my toe into really thinking about how can AI be a tool to help us transform organizations in the effort of multiplying our mission. And local governments have a our mission centered by default. We'll talk a little bit more about why we're focused on local government, but that's kind of the headline on who I am and why I got into AI. Just a little quick background: my organization is mostly based in Reno, Nevada, and folks across the country, partially doing strategic planning, doing AI implementations in local government, and we'll talk more about that as we go through the conversation.
So what when we talked for the first time, what caught my attention was the focus on strategic planning, and now your recent current work on AI, and there's a direct connection there from several different angles, right? And I was reading the World Economic Forum's Future of Work report last
Mm,
week that just came out. Um, Fascinating to see that AI skill sets are going to be in high demand. They are in high demand today. Uh, the specifics of it is filtered out. And
mm,
the second thing that I noticed in that giant report was that soft skills, communication, planning,
mm.
project management is going to be critical, right? So as we go on in this world that's being taken over by AI, everyone's talking about it. You have to talk about strategic planning um,
Mm.
because it has a
You
huge
do.
impact on how you deploy AI. So tell us a little bit about how you got from point A to point B, strategic planning, to owning an AI startup, um, and doing the thing.
I'd like to say it was a lot of good strategy, but probably not, but
I
that's
bet,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I think um, I've been passionate. I've been facilitating and managing, essentially building future-facing roadmaps for organizations for so long that it's just becomes part of my DNA and part of my team's DNA. And an extension of that, of course, is anything that can accelerate, enable, forward those efforts and make that, whatever that vision is, come alive. That's what it's really all about. And so I if I'm completely honest, when ChatGPT made its commercial debut in, like, I don't know, early 2023, actually,
Hmm.
might have been fall 2022. As a business owner, we had been through so much. We had been through the pandemic. We'd been through work from home. We'd been through a banking crisis. Um, I looked at this like new, yet again, another thing, and I thought, there's
Yeah.
no way. Like, I'm out, people. I'm out. Like, I'm too old for this. I'm exhausted. The last 7 years have crushed me. I can't do it. And I kind of got myself together after a nice retreat in Italy, and I said, "We have to do this." It's a malpractice on my part as a strategist to not inspire the idea that there is technology out there that helps us do more as humans. And so that's really like how we migrated from um, doing and facilitating board retreats to implementing and deploying a very specific AI tool that is really all about making those ideas on those sticky notes come to life better, faster, quicker, maybe. So that's the short story, but also it's super exciting. And I
Yeah.
think on one hand, there's some fear, and there's also just the tech, like, being nervous about not understanding it. But on the other hand, the bar is low to try to think about how AI can help us do our jobs better, to make our jobs more, particularly in local government, right? To make our jobs less mundane, more exciting, more citizen facing. Like, why not? And so,
Yeah.
anyhow, so that's also what I get super excited about. You'll see me just like jump up and down about it, but like, why not try? And so, anyhow,
Yeah.
so that's how we got there. Is like, there was a mandate to we have a my team has a mandate to help organizations transform, and AI just like fits squarely with that. So
That's
yeah.
amazing. And your passion is showing through the screen, here and worldwide. So let's talk about, you know, because you're in this, you're all in on AI. You have a product. How do you keep up with quickly changing things? I mean, what was it
Yeah.
yesterday? Project Stargate was announced, $500 billion invested in AI. I don't know what the
Yes.
ramifications of that are, but OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank are joining hands to invest in AI, and it changes quickly, right? As a product owner, right? It's one thing to be a strategist and sort of go with the flow and have not many things change because the strategy is long term. To
Yeah.
AI, where things change by the hour. How do you see this world? Essentially, is what my question is.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I said it doesn't make me nervous when I see all of
Hmm.
that. But then also, you know, what I what we did with Madison AI and how Madison AI came about was in collaboration with our local county, Washoe County. And
Hmm.
one of the things that I think is so important, and this will be like a theme throughout this whole conversation for everybody that's tuning in and all of the leaders that are navigating through, reduced budgets, competing resources, competing priorities, all that stuff. Um, what we put as a design principle front and center is very much that solve a specific problem that's worth solving at a very nuanced level with our customers. And so I think AI as a general, like, tool and comment is a bit too broad and a little bit not delivering on the value proposition that has been the hype
Yep.
cycle. At
Hmm.
a specific nuanced level, and I don't even have great words for it, but my collaboration with Washoe County made it such that we are applying AI to a very specific set of tasks that local government absolutely has to do, and we're doing it to a high level of fidelity for that specific set of people, for this specific set of this specific industry, local government in this case. And so I think in that regard, it makes me feel good because I think let Stargate do what Stargate's doing and
Yeah.
pour more money into it. We're leveraging all of that as well. Like we wouldn't be here without the billions of dollars from OpenAI and the billions of dollars right from Microsoft. Like bring it, like invest in
Yeah.
it, drive it, and then we're just drafting off of that. So, anyways, but my headline on that is just to say, no matter what we're all doing, we need to the center of it is absolutely understanding the problem in the workflow from a very specific user perspective and solving it to a high level of fidelity. And again, I can unpack that further, but that would be one of my big takeaways in terms of making AI really work.
Well, and we talked about workforce a little bit, and all of our clients are struggling with workforce, right? From the biggest
Yes.
cities to smallest
Yes.
townships, you can't find the right people to come work for you. There's several reasons. I've got my theories, but with AI and what's coming down, it's here now. It's the agentic workforce. You're going to have a combination of robots and humans working for you. And
Yeah.
the good news, again, for generalists like me, is that my skill set is breaking down problems, giving them words, and really uh, nailing down the instruction set is going to be the key skill set of the future. The programming language of the future is natural language. Um, and I'm just
Yeah.
excited about that piece because all of our clients, your clients and my clients, are executives, mayors, city managers, directors. Um, they want an outcome. They don't want
Yeah.
a software engineer to tell them why it can't be done or what the
Yeah.
limitations are. And that's powerful. That's where we are today.
It's so true. It's so true. And one of the things that's so cool about generative AI is if we think about we're creating so Madison AI is creating a custom closed knowledge assistant with that agency's public record, let's just call it that. And again, I
Hmm.
can explain it more in a second. But what it ends up being is the institutional knowledge of an organization. So
Right.
we're solving for this big problem that you're talking about, AV, which is the workforce, the labor side, and making sure that the institutional knowledge is preserved. And then in addition to that, making the jobs a bit more fun. And I am again as leaders, we should be we are and other people should be, if you can, co-developing with our clients, because why not have our clients coding with us to help AI solve problems. And so I'm passionate about that too, because that gets everybody that we're working with excited as well. So that's
Yeah.
kind of this other thing, like to drive a little bit of morale and retention. At least that's some of the stuff that we're seeing. So, but yeah,
Right. And I
yeah,
think that'll attract the next generation of the workforce too. So let's
yes,
unpack that. I know people have tuned in to hear you talk about your product because again, I'll frame this. Very few people and companies and vendors out there have nailed a specific problem to solve with AI, especially in government. Um, the big guys are talking about agents in Salesforce and Oracle and all of that, but the deployment and how quickly you've done that with a private public partnership, if you can talk about that a little bit too. Let's
I'd love
dive
to.
into Madison AI, what it is, what it
Okay.
does, and how you're helping your clients.
Yeah, fair enough. So we'll certainly do that, and maybe along the way, just drop in really tips that everybody can take away in terms of how to think about standing up AI solutions in your organization, right? So whether it's what we're doing or other great vendors out there, I think there's some really great best practices and tips to take away. Um, so Madison AI was born from the idea of, wouldn't it be great if we could use AI to assist staff report development. So staff reports or board memos or board reports, whatever you call that in your agency. So the majority
Right.
of the local governments we work with have staff reports associated with agenda items. Some people don't, by the way. So I've learned that too, but most people do. And that's a critical piece of the governance process. So we named our product Madison AI after James Madison, who one of the things he believed in good
Hmm.
governance. And so we all believe in, first and foremost, effective local government. At least I do. I believe in local government is the agency that has the ability to change our communities. Like, I fundamentally believe that. And anything we can do to help our local governments be more effective, efficiency, sure, but let's be more effective first. And so we all know that the governance process, the decision making process of our boards is driven by a briefing on a topic, previous
Right.
action that happened on that topic, deciding on that topic, implementing it, and doing it again, right? That's like actually the pattern of how we make policy. So what's so cool about that is the consistency and the high volume of that particular action is very important and critical to great local government. It has to be done, and it's perfect for generative AI. Why not use? Why not have agents? So let's define agents as code that has agency.
Hmm.
So just thinking about that for a second. So something that's got a little bit of a brain that can think a little bit to go do a task, right? So if we think
Right.
about that, we think, all right, let's build a couple agents to help us go fetch the information from the thousands and thousands and thousands of PDFs about, I don't know, affordable housing, draft the staff report in the format that is expected with the
Hmm.
with the grammar and the formatting and the logos and everything that everybody expects, get it to 80%, human in the loop, right? Review it, goes into Granicus or Civic Plus or whatever agenda management system you're using. Fine, great. So that's what was born. The folks that I talked to and my clients said it would be amazing if you could help with that. We spend so much time editing staff reports, incorrect staff reports that were saved as from the previous one, half the stuff's wrong. All that's right,
Yeah.
great. So, in order to do that, we had to build what is called an internal LLM. So, it's like ChatGPT, but it's just that agency's data. And the coolest thing about local government, and I would just like say this to all of our local government leaders, you are actually ahead of the game than private industry because you have a set of files. We can call it data, which is data, but you have a set of files that is clean. It is the public record. It's gone through the attorneys, it's gone through the clerk, the
Yeah.
minutes have been briefed and edited, and you have years and years and years of this stuff, and it is your institutional knowledge. So we take all of that, put it in a closed, it's not really a database, let's call it a database, and that's what we use with these agents, with this generative AI, to create a knowledge assistant that's specific for that organization. And then we use that to create things like staff reports or fiscal notes or whatever it might be. So that's what Madison AI is. But the idea behind it is local government has the the pieces that make AI work. Like, you just do, and you have a need for it. And our goal is to save all of our government leaders 5 hours a week in AI, enabling these tasks that you can do now, not take like 2 or 3 hours to look up a topic about the previous action on a whatever that board vote happens to be, punch it in, get a complete, accurate summary, use that for the question that your council person's asking or the board briefing you're asked to put together, etc. So AV, that's a really that maybe was a little bit long-winded, but that's the
No.
idea behind Madison AI.
Yeah, please keep going. No, there is no long-winded in this space, really. And um, you hit the nail on a few topics, right? How much work it takes to get that document into Granicus. If they have a thing like Granicus, most people don't. They're
Yes.
still doing it on Word docs and sticking it somewhere on the website. And then forget the public. The clerks themselves don't know what happened 10 years ago on a specific item, but you sometimes need that data. So, is this what's the interface? Like, if I am the public, I want to go into the city of Knoxville's board actions for the last 10 years and talk to the data. Is that something that you're enabling for not just internal folks but citizens?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and that kinda tags on to a question that was in chat, which was, like, how are we getting over the resistance that is maybe naturally inherent in local government to be a little bit
Right.
risk adverse. We like we want that, right? But also
Disruption.
maybe
There
not
you go.
always yeah, right? Not always so forward leading. And so we have currently Madison AI is a staff-focused tool. It could
Okay.
be exposed to the public, but we have just wanted to remove all of the roadblocks along the way of just allowing for a little bit of experimentation in a safe manner for our government leaders that are on the front edge of this. We're using publicly available data, so we've removed this whole issue of security and risk related to PII
Hmm.
and all of that. Sure, can we go there? Of course, but let's start somewhere simple, and we're really focused on staff and electeds. I just want to say there's a lot of other really amazing government technology startups that are focused on the citizen experience and exposing this type
Hmm.
of like type of quick interface to the citizens and a citizen experience journey. We're really focused on, as we said, helping our local leaders be more effective. So that's the short answer about the citizen piece. And
Got
it's
it.
working, right? So it's really reduced everybody's concerns because actually we do need our government leaders to evaluate the information that's coming back from the AI that we've developed to make sure that it's right. And that matters. So that's why we don't want to necessarily put that in the public domain. So I saw a question come up, but I didn't see it quick enough.
Oh, it was the one you
So
were talking about. We're good.
okay.
So
Okay,
I'm gonna
cool.
nerd out on the ERP end of this for a little bit.
Yes, let's talk about it.
Um, you're you're specifically doing public action right now, right? Is it post board commission council meeting, or is Madison also helping clients put together agendas and packets?
Both. Yep. So it's both.
Okay.
So if we were to think about Madison AI as being the institutional knowledge of an agency, that includes all of the authoritative documents, code, law, budgets,
Hmm.
master plans, minutes, staff reports. So that whole like bucket of stuff.
Right. Right. So you know, what I'm trying to piece together is as you're putting together a budget request or a contract for a thing that you have to take to the board for approval, a lot of data has to come from your financial systems, your HR systems. I can see if you're not doing it already, right? Madison being able to go back into backend systems and pulling that together uh, in a very detailed format, and then allowing people that will be voting on a certain item to, again, have discussions with that data and also pull in research from outside. Because a lot of times you go to commission council meetings and you know a, a very technical item that is on the agenda for a vote suddenly becomes contentious because it's hard to understand. People don't want to ask the question about the what's and whys to maybe not look as smart, right?
Yeah.
There could be such a great value in having something like Madison available to council members that can just ask the question and get educated on the item itself before the vote.
100%. Like, so that is one of the things that we're actively working on right now because again, kind of in that halo of multiplying our mission and good governance and all of that.
Hmm.
And your point, I think, AV is just that notion of being able to pull in different data sets. So the first data set that we're essentially like electrifying, if you will, or giving life to is all the information that's locked into PDFs. Like we are just
Right.
like local government's just awash in PDFs, right? Or TIFF files,
Yeah.
as the case may be, which is super fun. And so actually, and maybe this is a tip for everybody just to kind of share it for a second. Look, I'll just go into the data piece for a minute and then
Yeah.
and then talk about flowing in other data sets. But one of the things that you'll hear a lot about is garbage in, garbage out. We know this.
Hmm.
So AI can do really great stuff. AI is amazing. Generative AI is generative. So it writes really well. And if the base level information isn't accurate, it's going to write a bunch of stuff that's not right. And we can
Hmm.
call it hallucinations, that's fine. But it's more importantly, it's not actually helping you do summarization or do analysis or prepare for that board meeting. And so, what matters a lot, and I just again, I would just put this out to everybody that's listening on the listening today, is that notion of asking the right questions around the data sets that you're using in a specific knowledge domain. So we're calling them knowledge domains. So the first one is around policy. You heard me talk about
Mhm.
this. It so happens that that data is pretty um, clean, as I mentioned. But when we find fault, we're finding fault because the AI is not reading the data. We haven't converted it correctly enough. We missed a couple of files. The finance tables weren't read right. And so for all of us that are really like deep in on this and really, and if you're leading it, to really ask the right questions to make sure that that data is complete and readable. So that's just that. Then, in addition to that, we're creating distinct data sets and we're not merging them. So we've got that sort of base level data that is that is the public record flowing in financial data, maybe flowing in web results, flowing in citizen facing responses or survey data. And so for what we're doing, instead of mixing all that together, we're keeping them really distinct. And you're right, AV, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit.
Yeah, and the sky's the limit. I think as long as your data either exists in an electronic format, it's clean, it's distinct. You made a great point there about making sure that you're not, that as you go through this, you're making sure that your data is pristine. And that's where it's going to come down to. Again, going back to workforce, the key skill sets of the future are keeping data sets clean and being able to talk to AI agents about what you want from those data sets, right? I think that the hard coding of software is slowly being phased out. And the
That's right.
software engineers in the audience might pull the pitchforks out, but that's what I think is going to happen because the emphasis will be on clean data on great databases and properly trained and instructed agents to go get the thing for you from those databases.
That's right.
And Kyler asks a question, and this is a I'll make a Vero plug. Yes, Vero can help with the
Yeah,
data organization and help you with the business process and strategy around getting ready for something like Madison AI, right? Because one of the things we are starting to do is strategy around AI, your readiness. We've come up with a AI readiness model, several different steps that, a lot of people ask us, hey, how much is AI and where can I buy it? Wrong question to start with, right? Uh, it
yeah.
all comes down to organizational strategy, technology strategy, and how ready you are to take something like this on. So, what, you know, you're working with several public sector agencies, right?
We
And to your
are.
point, they all have public documents that are, board packets and meeting minutes and stuff like that. That, like you said, low hanging fruit doesn't require a lot of maturity on the client's end to get it done. But let's talk about tech maturity. They need to have some sort of a baseline and organization on the client's end to sort of assist you guys and to set up something like Madison. Like, what's the baseline there? What do you when you walk into a client, what what would you see that wouldn't make a low hanging fruit worth picking?
Yeah, that's such an interesting question. Our approach, and just to give a plug for you guys as well on this is, and I know you all work in the same sort of philosophical umbrella, is
Hmm.
to really be that low impact partner to our customers. So we know that if we put a bunch of roadblocks up in terms of what it's going to take to actually do a Madison AI implementation, it's going to take a year, right? And so
Hmm.
our goal is to, and I think this is a really another great design principle that people should run with, is to really start small. And again, we say this, right? But like pick something that's small, that you're not doing a system replacement with. I actually think that's super important, by the way. Sure, maybe, but like something small that's not displacing an existing system, something that's actually worth working on, that would make people's jobs better. Um, and then and then set up the components to that. And I think one of the questions is setting up an internal LLM, a phased approach. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's a bit of
let's go to that.
a bit of a phased approach. And I think where it starts with is on the data set. And so AV, just to really talk about that and say to everybody that's on the call today listening in is absolutely, to the extent that you can bring in help to get a data set in a place to use. That's Without that, every the efficacy of anything that you do in AI will fall apart, period, end of story.
Hmm.
I think that the idea behind it is to not let that be a multi-month blocker. Where can
Yeah.
you start where the data is already good? And so we've already talked about with the public record, right, which is awesome. um, so then you're saying also on the tech maturity, back to the phased approach on this. So this might be is sounds a little simple, but honestly, if the executives are not sending a message about experimentation and just like innovation and trying, we're dead. We're dead in the
Yeah.
water. It's, we're going
Yeah.
nowhere. So, and I think that's maybe one of the most important things around AI readiness. The clients that we're working with today have leaders that said, let's try. Let's try. We need to do something different. And we always, it's kind of a moniker, right, to say that, right? But we need to, our organizations, our local government agencies have got to evolve to drive the next engagement of the next leaders in our workforce, the next generation. The jobs have got to become less mundane. We have to be deploying resources to the really big problems our communities need, whether it's affordable housing, homelessness, fires. I'm on the West Coast. So anything we can do to inspire that, we need to be doing as leaders. And I'm saying as government leaders. And so that's like one of the most important markers of AI readiness is that like
Yeah.
leader stance around trying. And then the rest of it, you're essentially built you're buying an off-the-shelf AI, a purpose-built local government tool. I would also advocate that strongly. There's a lot of really great purpose-built local government solutions, and I would very much go in that direction instead of building it myself. So just as a point on that,
Yeah.
Navy, I know you and your team are awesome about that evaluation and fit. And again, just a big plug for the Avero team on that.
Thank you. And AI readiness too. You're right. Willingness from leadership to experiment and start going in that direction is critical. What we also find is there may be that willingness to do it from the leadership end, but sometimes the tech leaders sort of don't want to go there. Your CIOs, IT managers, yeah, you're going to build a closed LLM just for you, but cybersecurity is still an issue, right? In the age of AI, like last year, we were all about cybersecurity. It hasn't gone away, it's still here. So you have to convince a second set of leadership that you need to
You
dip your
do.
toes in there. And I think that's the key element of readiness because, again, to my point, you may not have the baseline infrastructure in place to take advantage of the what's available in 2025. We talked to a client yesterday, prospect yesterday, that is on AS400 green screen that runs all of their city financials, HR, utility billing, utility management, and they want to modernize. So
Mm.
in this, it's either a very good time to replace that kind of system because now you can bring in AI agents and do more with less, quote unquote, instead of just jumping to the next version of what you've had for 30 years. So readiness comes in different flavors, and to your point,
Yes.
it starts with leadership. I want to jump quickly to a comment from it seems like a common
Oh,
mutual connection, Clay
yeah.
Pearson.
Yeah.
You
Hi,
know,
Clay.
fun fact, Clay Pearson was, I think, guest number one on this whole podcasting we have going on in
Of course he
2020.
was.
And he
Amazing.
hasn't said anything nice about me on this comment, but kudos. He's a great guy.
Totally.
Um, and then question from Kyler is a phased approach proof of concept testing possible in the public sector? Thinking about securing the project budget from council, can you do that in steps? So
Yeah.
I think as you answer this, you might want to talk about your relationship with uh, Washoe County, if
with
that's
Washoe.
appropriate. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Fair enough. So I'll answer that question first. So one thing I think that's fun about AI tools and implementation is we can myth bust a little bit that we do not need to live in this space, that it needs to be a long deployment. So I would again advocate small, bite-sized pilots. And so that's what we've also been doing as well. So we've been deploying cost-free pilots to anybody that wants to try Madison AI, just to say, is this, is this going to work? Is this going to work for you? Is this what you're looking for? Play
Yeah.
with it, send it out to the resistors that are in the organization that have concerns about it. So totally agree with that. That also really works for getting into council. And as you mentioned, AV, a couple of minutes ago, deploying Madison AI at the fingertips of elected officials to be able to govern better, like all day long. And that's not quite live yet, but coming live. So we're super excited about that. But
Awesome.
I think just like as a prudent measure, like we should deploy things in pilots and in phased approaches. So just like that's kind of just a headline on that. And then also it doesn't need to be so expensive. So our current deployment is under 50,000. So, and even for smaller jurisdictions, it's half that. So I want to just say, I also want to myth bust the fact that it doesn't need to be cost prohibitive. So just knowing that. And the reason that we're in that cost range is because we did build this in partnership with Washoe County. Washoe County is the county that we're in. It's where Tahoe is. And it was the idea that was born out of, as I mentioned at the beginning of our call, it was born out of a collaboration with Washoe. They've been a client for a really long time, who said, let's try it. Here's where we think it would have an AI solution would have the most value. We realized that what we built, other people wanted. We commercialized it. And Washoe is actually a business partner in Madison AI. So it kind of takes public-private partnerships on to a whole nother level, if
Hmm.
you will. And what's so awesome about that, and the reason that I'm excited to talk about it, is because AI works when it's absolutely solving at the very nuanced level those tasks that are like done by the people that are using the tech. And again, we talked about at the beginning, but I'm so passionate about that because it's easy to build AI tools. It is hard to build AI tools that work. So, and that work to actually like AI enable a work task. So, and the only way we were able to do that is with the Washoe County team. So, just like a huge shout out to that team who's just been like step by step along the way with us. So
That's amazing. And to
so
have
cool.
that kind of sponsorship is really transformational, because otherwise you have to convince 10 people every day to try something, give you data, give you access, just sit down and talk to you. And there's several applications of something like this right across the board. We were doing some demos on a selection process with a uh, large public safety organization that didn't want to talk about AI. But you have labor shortages, you have demand for more transparency in police. These are some great solutions for you to um,
Yeah,
dip into.
totally.
Yeah.
100%. I want to mention something though, AV, just on this topic
Yeah.
for a minute. So some of the stuff that we're working on, and I'm thinking about this with Clay and Alliance for Innovation. I know that some of your clients are in this experiment as well. So one of the
Hmm.
coolest things that we can do with local government when we think about where this is going, so there is not only being able to talk to, work with, analyze, synthesize, and use the public record for an agency to be smarter instead of just going and asking the person that's been there for 30 years what happened on this topic, right? So,
Right.
like, that is awesome. What's way more interesting is how we do that across agencies to really learn from each other about policies that are working, about budget priorities, um, about cooperative purchasing, which is something that I know Clay's really passionate about. And I just want to say, like, together, that's where this can go because local government, that data is publicly available. So we can share across agencies. And I'm the first to raise my hand and say, we're trying an experiment on that with budgets right now. And
Hmm.
some of the data, some of the data that generative AI can read or not read, where it really falls down is numbers. And so I'd be lying if I said, hey, everything is figured out right now in terms of, Madison AI and use cases related to using custom LLMs. There's a lot of work ahead of us in terms of making sure that all of the different types of data, be it citizen sentiment or budgets, as the case may be, or shape files for GIS, it's the tech is coming, and
Yeah,
we do need the big guys to be investing in this, because then we get to draft off of we all of us get to
yeah,
draft off of the tech that they're building. So it's coming. It's not perfectly there yet, but we can see, like, in a year from now we're going to be having a different conversation, and I can't wait for that. So that's like my vision about where we can go, and it's been inspired by people like yourself and the folks that are running Alliance for Innovation, and I would just encourage everybody to be part of this conversation, because when we get to learn from each other, watch out. It's going to be awesome.
yeah. 100%. And again, this is such a Wild West moment in the world, right? It goes back to when the internet started and all of the different things you would hear about um, what's possible, and then the naysayers saying that's never going to happen. Nothing happens unless you try. Nothing happens unless you make the next move. So you know what your next set of options are. Um, but globally, Erica, I know you live and breathe this uh, AI stuff outside of applications for local government, which you are very passionate about. Clearly, where's the world headed in terms of AI? What would you say to people that talk about AI taking over the world and destroying civilization? How do you view that view, and how do you prevent that if it's remotely true?
Mm. You know, that's a really good question. I would say I'm not sure that I think that's a hard question too, because I'm not sure that anybody knows, right? But I do think that it is the human engage. AI doesn't work without the human brain. It just
Right.
doesn't. I mean, we are so deep in on this right now, and um, from what I can see, what's available commercially. So I'm not in the mix in Silicon Valley, so I'm not gonna, pretend to know what's going on behind those big closed walls. But from what we can all see and what we all have access to, we're a long way from AI being autonomous. At least, you know, yeah. So a long way. And I do think there is the mandate to pay attention to what we're doing from an environmental perspective. And so, how we're being
Hmm.
more efficient and responsible with our environmental use of AI is really super important. And so, I do think that that is something that we need to be mindful about. I think we need to be, like, reporting on that, and measuring that, and getting there in terms of understanding what that tech means for our water and energy
Power.
consumption.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But as it relates to, like, the robots taking over the world, I'm still excited about the fact that they vacuum my floors. But other
I
than
know.
that, I think we're a long way from autonomous thinking. So
And they still
that's just
can't
me.
do it right. So
You still can't
I'm
do it
with you.
right. That's right.
It's a long way away. But
But what do you
talking about
think?
energy,
Because you're
I
you're nerding out on it too.
I am, and yeah, you can see bad applications on AI where they're used for psyops and propaganda and public perception on things. Yeah, I mean, you can. We've seen this in the last 10 years, right? Bad actors can take advantage of technology that's in our pockets to influence our minds about certain things that may not be good for the world or our country. And you can take that, you can really extrapolate that by using agents. I'm giving bad ideas to bad guys that are listening right now, but you can use AI and agents to really wreak havoc on um, what we consume and how it's produced and how we perceive the world. So I think that needs some more deep thought on how to curtail that, because even today we're creating original content here, but the
Mm,
internet is just awash with AI, ChatGPT riddled blog posts that are easy to see now, right? So there's several
yes.
downsides, but good people working on good things will, I think, outshine all of that.
I think that's right. And I think that the benefits at the moment outweigh the risks. But I
Yeah.
will say though, to that point, and just to underscore it, it is how we're leading, the questions we're asking, the mindfulness that we are putting into how we're building AI solutions and the data that we're using is incumbent upon all of us. And so I would just say that, it is our response, it is the leadership's responsibility to be asking the question around the information that we're using in the generative AI tools that we're all working with, and to,
Right.
out of abundance of caution, to make smart choices. I mean, there is information that needs to not
100%.
to not be in the mix, right?
Yeah.
And that should never change. So yeah.
Yeah, and back to the, origins of I think our careers, it all comes down to sound strategy, sound policy, um,
Yeah.
sound business practices, and organizational sort of theory. This is another tool. You can't let it run away with
It's
everything.
so true. And so then kind of bringing that back to where we started the conversation, AV, and in your work and in my work, is to say we're standing up these tools to help agencies be more effective and also then
Hmm.
more efficient. So we're creating more time to do different things.
Right.
And the job is to then, as leaders, to redeploy that talent to do things like solve big problems, community collaboration, regional partnership efforts, to think and do things that only humans can do. And we need our humans to do those things. And so that's so super cool. So we say, again, in a year from now, we've just created all this space and place and time. What are we going to do differently, and how are we going to change the face of our communities to address the challenges that we're all needing our local governments to address and lead solutions for?
100%. And I keep thinking about this. Paying attention is critical right now. Um, from leadership to, the lowest staff workers, pay attention. This is a great, huge moment in human history. And yeah, it's deep. I'm making it out to be maybe more than it is, but to me, a great moment in mankind's history, all the way not just from chatbots and GPT type stuff, but energy, nuclear energy, using
Yeah.
AI to figure problems we haven't been able to in centuries is just fascinating to me. So just pay attention. There's opportunity for everybody.
Absolutely.
Um, I want to make a couple of plugs for ourselves. And Clay Pearson's out there in the comments again, talking about Alliance for Innovation,
Yeah.
which I think you attended. I had meant to attend last year. Sorry, Clay, but
Yeah.
you know, we're taking sponsorship um, dollars, Clay. So next time, uh, you can sponsor a live stream from the Alliance for Innovation. Just kidding. Um, but anyway, we have our 2025 report out, which talks a lot about what's going to happen in 25, how to think about these things. AI is a big aspect of this report. Top tier systems, ERP systems that you may want to look at if you're in the market for modernization this year. Download it, give us a shout, tell us what we did right or wrong in this report. But it's already 25. We put this out there about 6 months ago. We'll see how much of this comes true. And then if you are again in the market for replacing your ERP system, we have a bunch of guides and checklists. This on the screen is a very good guide for you to get started on. How do you start thinking about, right, that client we talked to yesterday? How do you even go from a green screen to a modernized SaaS system?
Yeah.
Um, there's a proven method there, and it's in this report. And Erica, I want to give you the chance to uh, plug your own products and websites and
Sure.
tell us where we can find you and how can people find out more.
Yeah, I love it. So, uh, for all of the local government leaders on listening to this, we would love to sign up a pilot for you. So that's what we're doing. Go to madisonai.com and plug in the information, or find me on LinkedIn, and reach out to AV, any of the aforementioned things. Alliance for Innovation will be there too. But the thing that we're doing for everybody is cost-free pilot. Happy to stand it up, and you can see if it works for you or not. But my encouragement on that would be, if not trying Madison AI, try something else, just to start to dip your toe in the water around what the possibilities are. I think, it's almost like what was the, this feels so old school, but that's okay. We didn't know we needed iPhones until we had our iPhones, or was it
Yeah,
like, what was it like,
good
whatever it
point.
was, right? Yes.
Hmm.
And so it's kind of in that same vein as well. And so I've shared all the tips related to that, but also just really appreciate EV for and your team for putting this on, because I think the more that we share how AI is working to solve problems that are worth solving in local government, the better off we are. So I'm always available to share. The team at Washoe County is as well, to really talk about how it's working for them in their county and the results that they're seeing, and others as well. And so just that's always an open door too. So reach out, and we're happy to help to navigate in any way. So
That is amazing. Thank you, Erica, for joining us today. I look forward to seeing your progress and
yeah,
taking over the space. So
I love
we'll
it.
talk soon.